Before I start this video, there's something I'd like to say. Anyone who knows this channel for a while also knows about Dragon Ball Hakai, which is one of the biggest Dragon Ball fan stories in the entire world. Producing Dragon Ball Hakai has been a dream for all of us here at the Hakai channel, especially because of you who really like our story. But unfortunately, Dragon Ball Hakai may end, and the reason for this is that although we love producing this story very much, the production costs are very high, and we are no longer able to sustain this cost alone. To continue with Dragon Ball Hakai, we need the support of those of you who love this story, and you can do it from a very small amount, like $5 a month. By helping the channel financially, in addition to helping continue Dragon Ball Hakai production, you'll have access to benefits that I'm sure you'll enjoy. So, check out our Patreon to find more. I'll leave a link in the description of this video. I'm not kidding, guys. Dragon Ball Hakai needs you to stay alive, so please help us if you can.
Episode 10. The Gods of Destruction are the enemies. The third stage of the tournament begins. Through the sky, Goku advances against the enemy android, throwing many blows at him. Such blows that the android tries with difficulty to dodge and defend. Goku has a lot of presence. The reason for this is that the extra time of the second stage of the tournament given by Zeno is only 1 minute, so he needs to make that single remaining minute count. He has only 1 minute to defeat this extremely powerful enemy, one of the 3 most powerful androids created by Daishinkan through the Super Dragon Balls. Goku manages to land a very powerful blow strong enough to cause a small crack in the android's chest, which is blown away by the force of the attack. Goku doesn't intend to give the enemy time to recover and immediately chases after him to continue attacking. To try to avoid the Saiyan's attacks, the android creates a dimensional portal in front of him at the exact moment when Goku would hit him. But to the robot's surprise, it was just a mirage, and the real Goku is already on his back ready to hit a blow that, when hitting the android, cracks another part of its body, pushing the machine away again. Goku moves forward again to attack but has to retreat when the android magically makes a sword appear in his hand and tries to slash the protagonist, which he narrowly dodges. Goku is irritated when he realizes that the enemy had even more tricks besides opening dimensional portals. All this makes him waste more and more of the time he doesn't have. Vegeta flies over a large forest while fighting his opponent, a hand-to-hand fight where both attack with their best blows. A little while ago, Vegeta discovered the secret of the android he faces. This android has the ability, when defending or receiving an attack, immediately uses the energy of the attack received to make a counterattack. This way, when counterattacking immediately after being attacked, the android can use part of the power used by the opponent in the attack added to its own power. Vegeta lands a punch to the android's body, which immediately retaliates with a much stronger punch to his body, making the Saiyan involuntarily spit up his own blood. Vegeta tries another blow. This one, the robot defends and counterattacks with a blow that Vegeta also defends, but despite that, his body is shaken by the attack, making the Saiyan warrior recoil in pain. Even in pain, Vegeta smiles as he says, "I was right. Every time you receive an attack on your body, you manipulate the attack's energy for your counterattack. Every time I receive a counterattack from you, I can feel part of my own strength in your blows. In addition to your natural strength, you have a very useful trick, you damn robot." Vegeta begins to concentrate his power emanating from his body, a great aura of Hakai energy. As he does so, he says with a maniacal smile on his face, "Now that I've understood your trick and been given an extra minute, I'm sure to destroy you and win this contest." In another region of the planet, another intense fight between one of the most powerful mortals and one of the most powerful androids was taking place, both traveling through the skies amid a rain of extremely powerful blows. Jiren slashes at the machine's face, which was about to be thrown away by the force of the warrior's blow, but he doesn't allow it, grabbing the robot's arm before the body completely backs away and pulling the opponent back towards him to strike a strong knee to the creature's abdomen. But the android takes advantage of the proximity then gained when Jiren pulled him back and applied the knee to embrace the mortal, and spewing a powerful electrical charge from his hands, electrocutes Jiren, who suffers as the powerful electrical current passes through his body. But the most powerful man in Universe 11 doesn't let that happen for a long time, and drives the android away by releasing a huge amount of energy at once. After doing so, he tells the enemy that it is useless to resist. This 1 minute given by Zeno will be more than enough for him to win this battle. But unlike Jiren, Goku, and Vegeta, who were hungry for more battle and with a desperate desire to vanquish their opponents, Gohan, Broly, and Piccolo didn't think the same way. They angrily glare at the android who charges at them to attack, cursing the fact that Goku asked the Zeno for more competition time. Without an option, Broly advances to meet the enemy while emanating a Super Saiyan's energy aura and prepares a super punch concentrating great strength in one of his hands. Such a punch that is hit in the android's chest at the same time that it creates a gigantic impact wave that destroys a considerable part of the ground below them. Broly's blow took effect, cracking the enemy's chest structure, which retreated. But a second after the android retreats, the crack in the robot's chest is restored. And now the android, which was worth 280,000 points, is now worth 300,000 points. After recovering, the machine charges at Broly and returns the attack he received in the chest, hitting the Saiyan's chest with such violence that Broly even let his own blood splatter from his mouth in the robot's face. Taking advantage of Broly being stunned by this blow, the android proceeds with a combo of extremely hard blows, which clearly caused the man a lot of pain. Seeing this from a little distance, Gohan and Piccolo are completely worried. Piccolo says, "Damn, that cursed robot doesn't stop getting stronger. It seems that every time he receives an attack that causes considerable damage to his structure, his body recovers and strengthens itself to resist the attack that injured him. But the problem is that it is not just the body's resistance that increases, but the overall power." Dissatisfied with his weakness, Gohan says, "Mr. Piccolo, with this transformation I can't do anything against him. I need to use more power." But Piccolo disagrees, saying, "Gohan, you don't control this transformation very well. Because of that, you might end up wasting too much energy. Doing this now is not the wisest idea." The Earth Saiyan argues, "But Mr. Piccolo, Broly needs our help. He's no longer able to maintain a balanced fight against this android with the level of power he's using now. If Broly loses his temper and decides to unleash more power, he could lose control, and that could be very bad for us. I know you're going to say we have to just wait for one more minute, but maybe Broly doesn't have that time, and we don't know if they're going to change the rules again and add more time. We need to defeat this enemy." After silently listening to all these arguments from Gohan, the Namekian replies, "There's a way we can defeat that damn robot, Gohan, and we can do it without you having to transform. All you need to do is concentrate on a single point on his body, and we need to attack that point with all our might. That way he will be destroyed before recovering and increasing his power again." Piccolo places his middle and index finger on his forehead as he begins to focus energy and says, "Gohan, focus all your power, and together we can shake this bastard structure." While bringing his finger to his forehead and also starting to concentrate energy, Gohan says, "All right, Mr. Piccolo, I'll trust your strategy." In the distance, a group of androids approach Gohan and Piccolo from behind, but Hit steps in front of them and destroys them all with a single wave of energy. In the next moment, another group of machines approaches by Hit's side, but the robots are destroyed by multiple energy lasers that were fired by Frost, who goes to the assassin's side and scolds him. "Damn it, we can only survive this if we stay close to each other. Don't pull away from me so suddenly." Hit justifies, "Our task is still to stop these inferior robots from getting in the way of those three. That's what I'm doing." But Frost immediately refutes him by saying, "We promised to protect them until time ran out, and time ran out. It's not our fault those damn gods decided to postpone things." Seeing more enemies approaching from all sides, Hit makes his combat stance while saying, "We don't have time for arguments now. Just fight." Broly and the android continue the fight, where the legendary Super Saiyan of Universe 7 suffers to try to keep up the fight against the robot, who now surpasses him in speed, dodging the Saiyan's attacks while hitting him with blows in very damaging points that cause a lot of damage and pain. In a moment, Broly sees a good opportunity and hits a punch in the android's chest, but after receiving the attack, the machine makes something that looks like metallic spikes come out of his body, which pierces the Saiyan's hand that immediately removes it, to then be hit by a blow that pushes him away. After pushing Broly away, the android sees Gohan and Piccolo from a distance, both concentrating a large amount of energy on their foreheads, preparing a Makan Kosapo. Apparently seeing some danger in this, the android extends a hand towards each one and fires two large energy lasers at them, which in the middle of the way are divided into 3 small lasers, each totaling 6. Seeing the attacks coming toward them, Gohan and Piccolo are alarmed. Piccolo says, "Gohan, don't stop focusing your energy. Keep your fingers on your forehead, no matter what." The young warrior replies, "Count on me, Mr. Piccolo. Good luck for you too." Gohan and Piccolo break away, each flying to one side holding their fingers to their foreheads, each being followed by a trio of energy lasers. The android seems to have the intention to pursue them, but Broly reappears in front of him to continue the fight, trying a punch in the face that the robot holds to the next moment counterattack with a punch in the face of the man, which is well successful. Gohan streaks across the sky at high speed while being pursued by multiple energy lasers, turning to face the attack chasing him. He launches an energy laser at one of the attacks, which, when it collides with Gohan's energy, explodes. But the other lasers continue towards him, and Gohan needs to keep escaping, this time changing its flight, direction, and heading towards the ground. Gohan quickly flies towards the ground as if he were going to crash into it, but a few centimeters before the collision, he changes his flight course by going sideways instead of going down, and so the laser closest to it doesn't change course in time and explodes on the ground. The Earthling warrior continues to fly low while being pursued by the last attack. It continues to fly close to the ground until it reaches a rocky area, where he begins to zigzag through the rocks. And in a moment, among the many turns that Gohan made, the last laser ended up hitting one of the stones and exploding. Piccolo also escapes the attack that pursued him. He crosses the sky across open country until he reaches a mountainous region. Seeing a rock next to him, Piccolo forms a small spear of ki at the tips of the index and middle fingers of his free hand, and makes a slashing motion towards the large rock. Even though Piccolo is far from the rock, it is cut, and after cutting the large piece of stone, the Namekian uses his telekinetic energy to guide the rock in front of him. The boulder is between Piccolo and 3 energy lasers, and in the next moment is completely exploded. But to Piccolo's surprise, apparently, one of the lasers hit the rock, while the other 2 attacks, as if they were clever, circle around and hit him from the side. But just before the attacks reach Piccolo, he is revealed to be a mirage. But it's too late, and the attacks pass right through his fake body and hit each other, self-destructing. When the smoke created by the destruction of the large destroyed piece of rock dissipates, Piccolo reveals himself in the smoke. He used the dust from the explosion to hide himself while leaving a fake body for the lasers to chase. As soon as Piccolo gets rid of the attacks chasing him, Gohan catches up with him. At that moment, just like Piccolo himself, Gohan also concentrates a large amount of energy on his forehead. He says to his friend and master, "Come on, Mr. Piccolo," which immediately agrees with his friend and disciple. "Come on, Gohan." Broly and the android continue the fight, with the Universe 7 warrior being severely punished by the machine. While being hit all over his body by the opponent's many attacks, Broly starts to think if he releases more power, he can surely defeat the enemy. But should he? Should he risk losing control and hurting his own friends? In a moment, among the many blows he is receiving on his body, Broly is hit by a strong punch from the enemy on his chin. A blow strong enough to stun the Saiyan, who slowly begins to lose his consciousness. At that moment, as he starts to lose consciousness, Broly decides that no, it's not worth the risk. He would rather be defeated than hurt his teammates again. He has no regrets, but the Saiyan is reminded again that he is not alone. Gohan and Piccolo, flying toward them with an immense amount of energy stored at their fingertips, yell at Broly to get out of the way. At the 2 companions' screams, Broly becomes alarmed and seems to wake up again, immediately obeying them and moving out of the way. Piccolo and Gohan at the same time stop their flight by standing side by side, pointing their fingers where all their power is concentrated towards the enemy, while shouting, "Makanko Sapo." The energy shot comes out of their fingers, and as if they were attracted to each other, unite in a single large laser of super concentrated energy that hit the middle of the android's chest with all violence. The android is carried a great distance by the energy laser until the attack is finally dispelled. When they're done, Gohan and Piccolo are completely exhausted and out of breath. Looking at the android, they see that the enemy has a large crack in its chest, but it has not yet been defeated. Seeing that their attack wasn't powerful enough to defeat the android, Gohan says, "Mr. Piccolo, our combined powers were not enough to defeat the android, and now he will recover and become stronger. We've lost." But with a smile on his face, Piccolo reveals, "We winning the enemy was never my intention." After saying this to Gohan, he tells Broly, "Come on, Broly, we're counting on you. Hit the crack and destroy this bastard." Broly concentrates a large amount of energy into his hand as he releases the Super Saiyan power aura. After that, he advances against the android, who, seeing the Saiyan advance, prepares to react with a retreat or perhaps with a defense, but he's suddenly paralyzed by something. The one who was paralyzed, the android, is Piccolo, who has both his hands extended toward him. The android, making some effort, starts to move, subduing Piccolo's telekinetic strength with its physical strength, but then he again becomes paralyzed. The reason for this is that Gohan joined Piccolo in this attempt, also extending his hands towards it, trying to paralyze the robot with his mental strength. Gohan and Piccolo, while reaching out to the android and making every possible effort to keep him paralyzed, shouts at the same time, "Go, Broly!" emitting a great battle cry that echoes throughout the region. While unleashing even more power, Broly flies towards the enemy. The Universe 7 warrior reaches the android with his most powerful punch, which, when hitting the machine's chest, releases an impact wave that can be seen even outside the planet arena. Gohan and Piccolo, seeing what had happened, lowered his hands as they returned to their base form and smiled. Broly pierces the enemy's body with his blow, but before he can remove his arm and step away from the android, the machine explodes. The man, who was already very injured and tired upon receiving that explosion at close range, begins to fall from the sky while voluntarily returning to base form. But his fall is immediately stopped by Gohan and Piccolo, who come from his sides and catch him. Smiling at Broly, his companions praise the good work. Broly smiles too. a tired but genuinely happy smile. Frost and Hit, who have just blown up some enemies, seeing that the other three fight was one, smile. But Frost, not wanting to be too nice, reminds the three with a grumpy expression. I'm sorry to disturb your friendship moment, but it's not time to rest. Did you forget that there are more enemies here? Move those asses and come help us. Hearing Frost's words, the three smile, then prepare to continue the fight. While all these combats took place in great intensity, the Xenos watched everything completely impressed. Very excited with all the efforts of the participants to defeat their enemies or survive them. It wasn't hard to notice that among the participants, the ones who were making the most effort were Goku, Vegeta, and Jiren, who faced the three most powerful androids on the planet, each worth 500,000 points. At one point, the Xenos asked Daishinkan who among the three he thinks will earn the highest score. Daishinkan reminds the Supreme God of the following information. Right now, the dispute for the highest number of points is limited to 3 participants. Jiren from Universe 11, and Son Goku and Vegeta from Universe 7. In third place is Vegeta with 1,100,500 points. In second place is Son Goku with 1,110,400 points. And in first place is Jiren with 1,120,900 points. Although Jiren's score gap to Goku and Vegeta isn't that small, they all face androids that are worth a bigger score, 500,000 points. This means that if Goku or Vegeta can defeat the androids they are fighting, they can take first place. Also, if Jiren beats his opponent, he'll open up a huge lead in first position. In short, if Vegeta can beat his enemy and Goku and Jiren can't, Vegeta will be in first place. If Son Goku wins and Jiren doesn't win, Goku will be in place first. And if Jiren wins, he'll certainly be number 1 regardless of whether Goku and Vegeta win or not. At this point, each of them has 40 seconds to win, and they all seem very motivated to do so. After being reminded of all this information, the Xenos ask who Daishinkan thinks will win, and the Grand Priest replies, well, doing an impartial analysis of the situation, I believe that the one who has the most chance of winning is Mr. Jiren. He has the highest score among them all, which means that if no one wins the current fights, he will be the winner. Also, he seems to be the one doing the most damage to the enemy he's facing, thus being the one closest to winning his opponent, which would give him a big advantage over the other two. The second most likely to win is Mr. Goku, who is also inflicting serious damage on his enemy and may be able to destroy him. But right now he is having difficulty in hand-to-hand combat because the android is using weapons that are sharp. And finally there's Mr. Vegeta, who in addition to being the one who has the fewest points among the three, is also the one who seems to inflict the least damage on the enemy. In fact, it is the opposite. He seems to be taking more damage than his opponent, and to make matters worse for Vegeta, the only way I can see him winning is if neither of the other two can win. After listening carefully to everything, the Xenos begin to pay with even more attention to the fights that take place, cheering a lot for Goku to be the victor. Goku retreats through the sky as the android chases after him, attempting dozens of slashes with his sword. Goku deftly dodges using Ultra Instinct until he finds the right moment to counterattack, landing a kick on the android's hand that holds the sword, forcing the machine to drop the weapon. After Goku disarms it with the kick, the robot raises its other hand and makes another sword appear, with which it tries one more attack, which Goku dodges by retreating. Gaining space with Goku's retreat, the android creates another sword in the hand that was unarmed, and charges at the mortal, trying many attacks with both blades. Goku dodges the multiple attacks, this time with more difficulty. As he retreats, Goku sees the timer in his vision. There's only 30 seconds left. Half of his time is up. He needs to finish this fight and fast. Beerus, who sees everything along with the other gods and angels, is eagerly rooting for the participant of his universe. He yells, even though he knows Goku can't hear. What are you doing, Goku? Destroy this bastard and take first place. Whis, who is next to Mr. Beerus, says, Mr. Beerus, maybe it's worth taking a look at Mr. Vegeta. Vegeta tries a punch at the android, who blocks his punch and immediately lands a much stronger attack in the middle of Vegeta's face, who bleeds badly on his face after the blow. Vegeta tries another attack, which the robot also parries, and then counterattacks, this time in the rib region, cracking the man's ribs and making Vegeta vomit a large amount of blood. Despite the pain, Vegeta attacks again, and this time he hits the android, but it's not enough to shake the machine, which retaliates with a much stronger attack in the middle of the man's chests, a blow powerful enough to shake the heart from the Saiyan, who for a fraction of a second felt his heart stop beating. Seeing Vegeta's situation, Beerus complains, what does this idiot think he's doing? He knows that this android can use the strength of his attacks to counterattack, but even so, he keeps attacking directly and taking the hits with double damage. Wiz theorizes, the Ultra Ego transformation that Mr. Vegeta is using allows him to increase his power level according to the intensity of the battle. So in theory, the more violent the fight is, the more powerful he becomes. I would venture to say that he is taking these blows on purpose, and then using the accumulated power to destroy the enemy at once. Beerus, not liking the idea, argues, but his body has a limit of damage it can withstand, and if that limit is exceeded, he will be defeated. Whis agrees. That's true, but I believe that Mr. Vegeta's idea is to explore the maximum limit of his body, staying exactly between his evolution limit and the limit of his capacity to withstand damage. Shin, who is listening next to them, says, "This is crazy. That strategy could lead to Mr. Vegeta's death. Is it worth doing all this just to win a fight?" Whis replies, "Well, from what I've learned about these Saiyans in this time of coexistence, winning a fight is always a more serious matter than it seems, something related to their warrior pride. And in the case of Mr. Vegeta, this appears to be even more extreme. For Mr. Vegeta, winning this fight is very important, even if the reasons for this fight are not. And I'm sure that to win, he will push himself to the limit, and even put his life at risk for it." After hearing all this, Beerus can't avoid a smile in admiration. He says, "Damn, this guy is a complete idiot." Belmont, who was nearby and overheard their conversation, says, "I have to admit that the effort of this guy named Vegeta is admirable, and not only his but Son Goku as well. But who will win this competition is Jiren. Take a good look at his fight." Jiren carries the android through the sky while landing many severe blows on it, leaving many cracks through the robot's body as he attacks, evidence that the machine is already at its limit. An android comes behind Jiren's back to try to land a strong punch at him, but Toppo intervenes by getting in the way and holding the android's hand, and then launches the robot towards Dispo, who destroys the machine with an energy shot. After doing so, Toppo tells Jiren to keep fighting without worries. They will watch his back. Jiren thanks his teammates as he finishes holding off a punch from the android and then counterattacks with a very strong punch that simply destroys the arm of the android, just used to attack. As the robot retreats, Jiren pursues it with more attacks. Seeing the timer in his vision, he realizes that he still has 20 seconds left, which for him is more than enough time to destroy this enemy. Goku retreats, deflecting the enemy's blades, which advances against him, trying constant attacks. He decides to stop retreating backwards, changing course and starting to retreat downwards towards the ground. Obviously, the robot continues to pursue, making the protagonist retreat faster and faster. Seeing what is happening in Goku's fight, Shin says worriedly, "Damn it, Mr. Goku is being pressured by the enemy to go towards the ground, so he can't retreat anymore, and will be hit by the opponent's blade." Beerus, very angry, shouts, "Damn it, Goku, what are you doing?" Goku can no longer back down. Finally getting to the point of touching his feet to the ground, taking advantage of this, the android charges down at him for a final attack. But to the machine's surprise, Goku launches a Kamehameha from his feet. With a wave of energy coming out of his feet and hitting the ground, Goku launches himself at high speed towards the android, who charges at him with his sword raised to attack. As he charges at the enemy with his fist raised, Goku yells, "It's over for you." Goku reaches the android before the machine's sword reaches him, hitting the robot in the center of its body and piercing through it completely. After having his body pierced by Goku, the android explodes. The protagonist celebrates with great joy. Goku says, "I did it!" Seeing this, Beerus and Shin are very surprised, but later happily celebrate Goku's feat. Shin admits, Mr. Goku was very clever in pretending to be under pressure from the enemy to rush at him at the last moment in such a sudden way. He really is a martial arts genius. After that, more excited, Beerus shouts, "Now it's just you, Vegeta. There's only 15 seconds left. Show the power of that pride you talk about so much." Vegeta charges at the enemy with a lot of punches, attacks that seem almost desperate, and that are clearly not affecting the robot as they should. In a moment, the android, which has already accumulated a lot of strength due to Vegeta's last attacks, holds one of the Saiyan's punches, and then with all the strength accumulated in the other hand, lands an extremely strong punch in the middle of Vegeta's chest. An attack so strong that the impact waves goes through the Saiyan's body and shakes the entire forest below them, even knocking down a few dozen surrounding trees. After receiving this blow, Vegeta stops for a moment, becomes paralyzed as the machine's hand rests on his chest. In the next moment, a large amount of blood begins to flow from the Saiyan's mouth, which remains inert. Seeing this, Beerus, Whis, and Shin are very worried, fearing the worst. Whis comments, "Looks like Mr. Vegeta has finally reached his limit." Shin, in despair, questions, "No way! Did Mr. Vegeta die?" Beerus, very angry, shouts, "Vegeta, you bastard! How dare you use the power I taught you and lose to a damn robot!" But Vegeta finally opens his eyes, and with his bloody mouth he smiles. The Saiyan suddenly grabs the android's arm and then begins to concentrate his power, releasing a large amount of Hakai energy that surrounds him. The energy of destruction emanating from Vegeta also involves the android, which begins to have some small parts of its body shattered by the energy. The robot tries to pull his arm, captured by the Saiyan, but is strongly held by Vegeta, who says with a smile worthy of a madman, "It's no use trying. I won't let you escape. I received all of his attacks on purpose, so that my power would increase even more." and I did so as far as my body could withstand. I will have my victory even if it costs my life. Fearing what is to come, the android uses its free arm to slash the arm trapped by Vegeta. By doing so, the robot flies away at high speed from there. Finishing concentrating his power, Vegeta yells, "It's useless. You can't escape from absolute destruction. Final destruction!" Vegeta unleashes all his concentrated power at once, and the energy of destruction coursing through his body begins to expand at incredible speed, rapidly spreading throughout the region around him. The android tries to flee but is reached by the energy and has its body completely destroyed. As the energy spreads for many kilometers around, it destroys the ground and trees in the forest, and in the same moment, it touches, and even many androids that were in the nearby regions are hit by the Hakai and disappear completely. As an end result of his technique, Vegeta completely wipes a large region of planet Arena out of existence. After all this happens, Vegeta, already in base form, remains static in the sky for a moment. He smiles exhaustedly as he celebrates. I did it. Vegeta closes his eyes and begins to fall from the sky. But before he reaches the ground, someone grabs him by the arm, stopping the worst part of the fall. It's Goku, who arrived there with instant transmission. Looking at his rival, Goku gives a proud smile as he says to Vegeta, even though he knows he is no longer listening, "You really gave it your all, Vegeta. Congratulations." From the spot of spectators, Beerus, Shin, and Whis smile. Everyone is in awe of the great effort of their main warriors. The God of Destruction breaks all his posture of indifference as he says, "Well done, Goku and Vegeta. Universe 7 couldn't be better represented." But their smiles fade when Belmont says, also smiling, "They did really well. I must congratulate them for the great effort. But take a look at Jiren. He did it too." On top of a mountain on the planet was Jiren, kneeling while breathing heavily. In front of him, fallen, and with his body torn apart, was the android. Jiren looks up to the sky as a loud trumpet is blown, the sign of the end. The bald warrior lowers his head as a sign of relief. Before long, Toppo and Dispo reach him. Both are very tired and injured. Dispo comments, "It was very difficult, but we managed to stay on our feet until the end." Toppo praises the most powerful companion. "Jiren, you did it. You prove your great power again." Jiren, getting to his feet, replies, "No, we all made it. We all showed our worth." Frieza and Cooler were in a big open field. Cooler was sitting on the floor while Frieza was standing next to him. Teasing his brother, Frieza asked, "What's the matter, my brother? Don't tell me you're tired just because of some useless robots." Cooler doesn't answer. He just looks at his younger brother with a murderous look full of fury. But despite Frieza's statement, looking around it can be seen the immense amount of machines that were destroyed by them, which was certainly a very tiring job. In another large field on the planet were the members of Team 4. Gohan, Piccolo, Frost, Hit, and Broly were landed on the ground on the field, and around it can be seen many fallen androids, or at least their pieces. They are all extremely tired, especially Frost, who is lying on the ground almost passed out. Gohan, glad it was all over, thanks his teammates. "I'd like to thank all of you for your great help, especially those of Universe 6. We overcame our differences, and that's why we made it till the end," he admits with a sympathetic smile on his face. Hit says, "Well, it wasn't so bad working alongside you guys." Suddenly, the Daishinkan makes an announcement that everyone can hear. "Ladies and gentlemen, gods and mortals, the second stage of the Tournament of Power is over. I will now bring the second stage participants back to the center of the planet so we can talk." Daishinkan makes a movement with his arms, and suddenly all the participants present in the planet arena are taken to the central place, as in a teleportation. The participants are on the floor, below the 4 platforms, where the disqualified participants, the gods and angels, and the supreme beings are. Taking a good look at the participants, the Daishinkan says, "I would like all participants to be awake for the final result to be given." Among the participants, some were fainted. Goku, who was close to Vegeta, while taking a good look at his companion, warns Daishinkan that unfortunately, Vegeta won't wake up so soon. He's completely exhausted and with his body at the complete limit of injuries. With a smile on his face, the Grand Priest says that won't be a problem, and then raises his hand, causing in the next moment an aura of light to envelope all the participants, and in a second completely healing all of them. Everyone is very surprised by that, looking at their bodies and not seeing any more injuries, and even their clothes were completely restored. Although everyone is very surprised, the one who comments on this is Goku, saying, "Wow, that's amazing. My energy has been completely restored. I don't feel anything in my body, and even my clothes are back to normal. This is better than the senzu beans." But that act of the Grand Priest caused distrust in Frieza, who asked him, "I don't understand why you did that. Wasn't it part of the game for us to save energy? We even strategized about it during the first 2 stages of the competition. Why heal us this way now?" The Daishinkan explains his reasons. There are 3 reasons for this. First of all, I want all participants to be aware to see the second stage scoring result. Second, the sudden changes we made to the rules were certainly a problem for you, and it required you to expend a lot more energy than was initially anticipated. So I thought it would be fair for you to be healed and have your energy restored. And third and most important, the great Zeno decided that if you are too tired and injured, the fights will lose quality, as you will not be able to give your best. Those were the 3 reasons for this. Frieza gets very irritated listening to all that. He thinks, damn, these bastards treat us like a simple piece of entertainment. I'd like to rip that bastard's head off. And then those 2 stupid dwarfs, but unfortunately I can't. The warriors who were passed out begin to wake up. They look confused from side to side, trying to figure out where they are. Vegeta, seeing Goku next to him, asks, Kakarot, how did we get here? Goku replies, in short, the second stage is over. By the way, you managed to defeat your enemy, Vegeta. Congratulations. Vegeta smiles at that and then replies, of course I did, Kakarot. Who do you think you're talking to? Daishinkan warns everyone. The time has come to reveal the scores of all of you. Please pay close attention. Everyone is very attentive to what the Grand Priest will say. Vegeta, smiling confidently, tells Goku he will win, but Goku says no, he will win. The two at the same time look at Jiren, wondering his score. The Daishinkan with his magic makes a scoreboard appear before him while verbalizing the results of the scoreboard. Daishinkan says, first, let's talk about those who weren't qualified. Those people are 20th place Jimizu with 28,112 points, 19th place Basil with 34,155 points, 18th place Lavender with 37,097 points, 17th place Bergamo, 39,000 points, 16th place Brienne, 40,897 points, 15th place Kaba with 105,520 points, 14th place Cauliflower with 108,233 points, and 13th place Kale with 150,089 points. These are the participants who did not qualify for the next stage of the tournament. Hearing this result, Cauliflower becomes extremely angry. She protests, saying, how is it possible? We destroyed hundreds of androids, and even defeated some of them that were very powerful, and worth a lot of points. How did we not get classified? With the usual patience and neutrality, Daishinkan explains, Miss Cauliflower, it is true that you did very well. And not only you, but Mr. Kaba, and Miss Kale too. But something that hurt you a lot was the fact that in the final moments you were knocked out. Because of this, you stopped scoring, while the participants who remained standing had to face a lot of androids. And as a result, their score went up very quickly. Still, Miss Kale was very close to 12th place. She almost was classified. I would venture to say that if she had stayed awake for 1 more minute or 2, destroying a few more enemies, she would have stayed in the tournament. Cauliflower is extremely angry, and with a vein standing out on her forehead, she points her finger at the Grand Priest while complaining. So Kale lost because of your rule change, right? If the competition wasn't 1 minute longer, maybe she would have been a higher rank in that case. This is your fault. It's not fair. Kaba immediately approaches Cauliflower's back as he grabs her and covers her mouth with his hand. As he does so, he scolds her with a comically scared expression. Kaba says, Miss Cauliflower, don't talk to them like that. Do you want to be erased? Or worse, do you want our universe to be erased? Kaba addresses Daishinkan with an embarrassed and frightened smile as he apologizes for his friend's words. Kale approaches Cauliflower and with a resigned smile says, It's okay, Cauliflower. I don't mind losing. I didn't want to keep fighting, especially if you weren't fighting too. I'm fine. It was better that way. After Kale's words, Cauliflower calms down, but still keeping a frowning expression, she asks Kaba, And you? What do you think? Also with a resigned smile, he replies, Of course I wanted to continue to test my limits and learn more and more, but losing is part of the game, right? I'm fine. Sighing, the girl finally gave up, saying, You two are idiots. Well, what can I do? I will accept the result even though I still don't think it's fair. Bergamo, Basil, and Lavender were also sad, especially as they were close to last place. But deep down, they always knew that their chances of winning this tournament weren't that high, so they were resigned. The same goes for Jimizu and Ribrianne, although Jimizu is a bit frustrated at being placed last, but the Yard Rat is at least happy to have passed to the second stage. That must mean something, right? There being no further complaints from anyone, Daishinkan continues, Everyone I'm going to mention from now on who has already qualified for the third stage. In the 12th place is participant Cooler with 154,336 points. Mr. Cooler was just ahead of Miss Kale, getting that little difference in the final moments of the second stage, and only getting that because Miss Kale was knocked out and stopped scoring. In 11th place, Frost with 168,912 points. 10th place Son Gohan with 309,999 points. 9th place Piccolo with 323,987 points. 8th place Dispo with 326,001 points. 7th place Hit with 338,057 points. 6th place Frieza with 339,538 points. 5th place Toppo with 947,969 points. And in 4th place Broly with 990,000 points. After Daishinkan gives all the information, Frieza scolds Cooler, "My brother, you should be ashamed of yourself for having managed to get through so little. As if it wasn't enough to be in 12th place, you only got that place because the Saiyan girl fainted and stopped scoring." Cooler doesn't like this scolding from Frieza, and so he responds to his younger brother, "If I scored so low, it's because I followed the strategy you suggested, Frieza. If I had done my best from the start, I would certainly have scored a lot more points. Besides, you're not that good to judge me. You were the 6th place, and you were behind these 3 Saiyans that you hate so much." Emotionally affected by Cooler's arguments, Frieza responds with angered expression on his face. "You idiot! Didn't you see how injured and tired they were? It's obvious that they put in a lot more effort than I did, and because of that they got more points. My strategy was much better, and if they weren't healed by the Grand Priest, I would have complete advantage against them in the next stages. My plan was perfect. It's the fault of the rules that changed." Frost, who wasn't too far away from them, tells Frieza after listening to his complaints, "Stop whining, Frieza. It's not nice to be a sore loser and blame others." Even angrier, Frieza responds to his counterpart from the other universe, "Shut up. The one who ranked 11th has no right to judge me, especially if you got that low position in exchange for almost all the energy you had. Besides, in the first tournament I wasn't the one whining after I was eliminated." Gohan and Piccolo are very pleased with their rank. Piccolo says, "Look, Gohan, it looks like all our efforts paid off. Being 10th a night is not so bad at all." Gohan agrees. "It's true, Mr. Piccolo, especially in my case since I managed to do that without using all my power. I'm very satisfied." Toppo and Dispo are also satisfied with this result. Dispo says to his companion and leader, "Look, Toppo, it looks like our efforts paid off. I think we managed to represent our universe well in the end. I just wanted to be a little bit rank ahead in rank. 8th is not that cool." Toppo consoles his companion and subordinate. "Don't be silly. It's an excellent position." Toppo looks at Broly, who is not that far away from him, and tells the Saiyan, "You must have worked really hard to get 4th place. I know that because I did my best facing the most powerful opponents I could find, and you still beat my score. Congratulations, warrior." Hearing this, Broly smiles at Toppo, happy for the compliment. Vegeta, very anxious and irritated, says to Daishinkan, "Hey, why don't you just reveal who the top 3 are? I want to know who won this damn competition." Despite Vegeta's lack of manners, Daishinkan maintains his sympathetic expression as he responds, "Alright, I'll reveal now who the top 3 are, and who was the participant who scored the most." Goku, Vegeta, and Jiren look closely at Daishinkan, eager for the answer. The Grand Priest finally makes the revelation. In 3rd place is Son Goku with 1,610,400 points. In 2nd place is Jiren with 1,620,900 points. And in 1st place is Vegeta with 1,632,750 points. After this revelation from the Grand Priest, everyone is very surprised. Vegeta, receiving the news, smiles with great excitement as he points his hand at Goku and says, "I did it, Kakarot. I beat you. I am the best." Goku, a little upset, says, "Oh man, I tried so hard, but there's nothing I can do now." Jiren receives this news in silence, just closing his eyes and lowering his head. On one of the platforms, Belmont asks, surprised, "But Grand Priest, I thought that if Jiren beat the android he was facing, by the points difference at that moment, his victory would be guaranteed." Daishinkan explains what happened. It's true that this result is very unexpected, even for me. The most expected result in case the 3 participants won was that Jiren would be in 1st place, Son Goku in 2nd, Vegeta in 3rd, since their positions in the ranking was that, and they were facing enemies that were worth the same number of points. That is the logic that would be there, that if everyone won, it would have earned them 500,000 points. And since the points gained would be equal, the difference in points for each would not change. But something unexpected happened. Mr. Vegeta, as a final attack, used a technique where he created a massive explosion that destroyed a large area of the planet. When he did that, he destroyed the android he was fighting, and won the 500,000 points for the machine. If only that android was destroyed, as Son Goku and Jiren also defeated their enemies, and also gained 500,000 points, Mr. Vegeta's rank would remain the same. But Mr. Vegeta's technique not only destroyed the android he faced, but also many androids that were scattered throughout the region. Because of this, Mr. Vegeta accumulated extra points, and this allowed him to bridge the gap that existed between him and the other two. That was what happened. Listening to Daishinkan's explanation, Belmont lowers his head while complaining about bad luck. Belmont says, "Damn, what a lucky bastard." Goku and Vegeta are surprised to hear that. Goku asks his rival, "Wow, Vegeta, did you plan this from the start?" Equally surprised, he replies, "Of course not, idiot. I had no idea of other scores. It was impossible for me to have planned this." But then Vegeta smiles as he brags, "But that doesn't matter. What matters is that I was the best." But there isn't much time for Vegeta to celebrate, as the next second the Daishinkan announces, "Now that the results of the second stage of the Tournament of Power is explained, let's move on to the third stage. Gods of Destruction, forward!" When the Grand Priest says this, the four gods who were on the separate platform, Likir, Arak, Iwan, and Jin, jump from their platform down ahead of the other participants. Daishinkan then reveals, "Now it's time to talk about the third stage of the tournament. It will be individual fights with the participation of the Gods of Destruction." Hearing this, the participants are in complete shock. What does this mean? Mortals will need to face the Gods of Destruction in single combat? What will be the rules of this fight? Find out in the next episodes of Dragon Ball Super 2: New Tournament of Power.